And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Hello once again, and welcome to Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. Up first, hazardous weather graphic. We still have a coastal flood advisory out and a high surf advisory. Coastal flood advisory, Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta coastline, or actually more along the Kuskokwim Delta coastline, Nunivak Island. High surf advisories out for the Yukon Delta coast, St. Lawrence Island, and the Bering Strait coast. That's out through tonight into tomorrow for possible minor beach erosion with those higher seas due to the strong gusty winds they've had. And the Mendenhall Lake flood warning continues. Actually, it's expected to be cresting right about now at about a record level, 12.2 feet, the old record being 12 feet, and should start subsiding here during the latter part of the afternoon Saturday tonight, but the warning out until about 10 or 11 a.m. Sunday morning. And from here, going to the fire danger chart for Spruce, extreme fire danger with temperatures, those hot temperatures and dry conditions up in the Yukon Flats, especially highs this afternoon in the mid-80s here over the Tanana Valley areas. And so extreme fire danger again, the Yukon Flats and down in the Tanana Valley. Even back in toward the northern Kuskokwim Valley, starting to see some very high to extreme fire dangers showing up there. And quite an area of very high fire danger in the Copper River Basin areas. And otherwise, southern Alaska, not too bad, still in the low category, most areas, as well as the southeast coast, Kodiak Island, and out over the western interior. Of course, all the moisture and clouds, cooler temperatures out there, keeping it lower. But picking up on the North Slope with those hot temperatures we've been seeing today, kind of getting more widespread out there with a high fire danger up that way. And pretty good sunshine here over the Yukon Flats today on up right to the Arctic coast. In fact, most of the Arctic, this is just some high clouds here on the west side, but temperatures warming into the 70s to mid 80s on the North Slope and 65 to 75 or so on the Arctic coast with Umiat Airfield, 3 p.m. this afternoon, 84 degrees. Mid-80s showing up around the eastern interior areas at the same time there, near 80 at Fairbanks, for example, 75 to 85 over the Yukon Flats. And not too bad here, 60s and lower 70s for the south central Alaska area. Kenai Peninsula seeing some lower 70s over the inland areas. And extending back into the Kuskokwim Valley, Toledo in the lower 80s today. And southeast coast, some areas of sunshine there. Most of this moisture staying down to the south. Some clouds down toward Ketchikan and the southern areas in toward Dixon Entrance. And front here, right along the south coast, weakening as it pulls in to the interior today with, let's go to the, there we go. This is the current satellite imagery here. Big low here over the southeast, or over the Bering Sea here with a good front in over the southwest interior down to the Alaska Peninsula areas, and then trailing back mostly south of the Aleutians now, so lighter winds there, but this bringing these strong winds, strong gusty winds, and pretty good shot of rain along the coastal areas of the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta today, over 1.25 inches, about 1.25 inches at Cape Newenham and nearly 1 inch at Cape Romanzoff, with winds gusting upwards of 60 miles an hour at both those locations, or 60 to 65 miles an hour. Cold Bay had a peak wind gust 60 miles an hour, and Bethel about 40 miles an hour, winds kicking up to 36 miles an hour at Kotzebue, but conditions up there still dry. On the chart here today, we'll see there's that 975 millibar low there over the northwest Bering Sea. The front right near St. Lawrence Island, coming inland along the coast, starting to weaken now. Winds coming down in this area this afternoon from what they were earlier. And rain, Alaska Peninsula areas, anywhere from 1/3 to 1/2 inch there. Next, extending up heaviest, as I mentioned, along the southwest coast today. Rain up into the Nome area this afternoon with gusty winds as well. And some showers starting to show up along the Kenai Peninsula and south central Alaska, but not much in the way of any thunderstorm activity as of yet over the interior. Mostly just clouds, areas of smoke in the Tanana Valley up into the Yukon Flats, and then of course over into Canada, where it's been since May over there. And some isolated showers possible there over the Panhandle. Not too bad today. Looking at tonight, we'll see mostly dry for the southeast coast, increasing chances of showers with this system here kicking off to the northeast there. A couple of troughs coming in toward the coast. Well, the first one coming in toward the coast, increasing the shower threat there. Periods of rain or showers on the increase along the North Gulf Coast into Prince William Sound, southern Kenai Peninsula areas. And then there could be some showers and thunderstorms here over the northern part of the state, Koyukuk Valley back out toward the Kobuk Valley, and maybe some thunderstorm activity developing there over the north slope. Otherwise, this front keeps it wet and not so breezy. Winds down, really coming down here across the southwest interior in Bristol Bay. Look for some light rain to push into Kodiak Island, mostly over the southwest part of the island there, and light rain up into the Seward Peninsula. Really not making it too far east or northward, so it stays dry there. Selawik, Kotzebue, and the northern Seward Peninsula, even Shishmaref. And showery and breezy for the Pribilofs, mostly dry for the Aleutians there. This front now south of the area there, and the low staying to the north, so you're right in between the two features there. And that continues into tomorrow as well, becoming nicer over the Bering Sea and drier with diminishing winds. Still windy and wet here, northern Bering Sea into the Bering Strait, western Seward Peninsula, and showery and breezy for the Yukon Delta. Kuskokwim Delta about the same, but a lot less wind. And should be a dry day for the Pribilof Islands there with westerly west-southwest breezes, 15 to 25 miles an hour. Showers and thunderstorms here possible over the northwest part of the state. And again, along the Alaska Range, increasing showers, cloudy conditions, a little cooler south central Alaska with more clouds and moisture coming up, especially along the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula, western Prince William Sound, North Gulf Coast. That's where the precipitation will be the heaviest. And the southeast coast, looks like it'll be a cloudy, showery, kind of rainy day tomorrow. And next system develops here and pushes wind and rain in toward the south coast in the afternoon with showers to the north. A lot of showers covering southern Alaska on Monday here, starting even the Copper River Basin now. Showers and thunderstorms into the Tanana Valley. That'll bring the temperatures down a little bit, but still expected to rise into the 80s, especially to the north there. Showers even over the western interior. Remnants of this front keep some light rain over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula area. Northern Bering Sea still under the influence of this slowly weakening persistent low there, drifting to just west of Gamble in the afternoon. And a couple of troughs bringing some light rain, fog, and drizzle into the Aleutian areas. Lows tonight, 50s, even the Arctic coast in the 50s, all the way down into the North Gulf Coast. Upper 40s out over the Bering Sea, mid to upper 50s for the Panhandle. Highs tomorrow, 60s to mid 70s for the southeast coast. 85 to 90 over the mid and upper Tanana Valley, near 90 in the Yukon Flats. 80s again over the north slope, 65 to 75 for the Arctic coast. Much cooler out here to the west in the 50s. Southwest interior Bristol Bay and the Aleutians. Followed by lows about the same here. Upper 40s for the Bering Sea area and the southwest coast near 50. Otherwise everybody else in the 50s. And then the highs for Monday afternoon, a little cooler here, but still into the mid 80s, well in the mid 80s, and maybe even upper 80s for the Yukon Flats. Eagle about 84, and upper 70s, lower 80s, central interior. Cooler back to the west in the 50s, and 65 to 72 for south central Alaska, warmest in the Kuskokwim Valley, about the same in the Copper River Basin. Highs 65 to 70 for the southeast coast.